I'm going to explain how to use Kailo-Edu. So Kailo-Edu is a platform that's available online, and it's really to help facilitate discussions and debates within the classroom. I think this is really cool. The teacher can start a debate, and then students will go in and respond to it on how they feel. They'll have to come up with claims and arguments based on possibly evidence that you're researching at the time. They have to really decide which side they're on and then explain why they feel that way. And then from there, students can add on to other students' claims and kind of just create that argument discussion that could initially happen in a classroom, but since distance learning, we are forced to go online, and I think this is a great way to incorporate discussions and debates in your classroom without having to actually be in a classroom. So let's get started on how to create a discussion. So this is a profile that I'm in. We're using for educators. This is what it'll look like when you log in and you're on your profile. So we're just going to go to create discussion. So you can choose between private or public. I'm just going to do private for now. And you can select a discussion type. So there's single thesis or multiple theses. I'm going to go with multiple because I'm going to start it out with a question and have yes or no. So discussion title, provide a brief title describing your thesis. I'm just going to put the question here: are we ready for driverless cars? Background, so you can add information. You can probably add rules there. It's up to you what you want to add. I'm just going to leave it blank for right now. You can also add links. So maybe you will link an article or something to that extent to help students create their own thought, because they'll have read some information and they can decide how they feel about it. You can change language it's in. I'm just going to keep it off English because that's the only one I can read. Upload an image. I'm just going to leave that blank for right now. So complete. And then it takes you to the discussion. And you can obviously invite your students with this invitation right away. But for the sense of this tutorial, I'm just going to say not now. So here it is. This is what students will see. Are we ready for driverless cars? And they can go in and add theses. I'm just going to go in and add 2 of them and say, yes, we are ready for driverless cars. Save. And then the next one could be, no, we are not ready for driverless cars. Save. So, and then from there, you can add in why you feel that way. So we would, let's say we're feeling, yes, we're ready for driverless cars. A student could add on to that with possible pros validating this response. So we could say, since things will be controlled by a computer, there will be less accidents and crashes from human error. Save. There's some other ones that I think of. It will allow passengers to be more productive while they're in the car. So what's kind of cool too is if you wanted to have your students make a claim but then provide like information to back up their claim, there's this little add link button that you can do. So maybe they found it out there and that's why they're pulling that information there. But let's go back to this, are we ready? The normal question, are we ready for driverless cars? And let's add in, no, we're not ready. So they can say, someone could hack into the car computer that will cause accidents and crashes. So pretty much students will add how they feel about it and make claims and make arguments, and as a class we can debate about it. Something that's pretty neat is you can vote on this using these little things. So let's say we really agreed, no, we are not ready for driverless cars. We can, so a little tip, from a teacher side, you have to enable voting. So we can just go to discussion settings, allow voting. And something that I really like about this, especially if you have students that you know that might not be willing to share in the class, maybe they're shy, you can make sure that it's all anonymous, which I think could be great because then there's no bias towards other people. But that's neat. Also, you can enable teacher feedback, so now teachers can comment back, ask questions, and only teacher will see the feedback. So now we can vote. And you end up with this cool little concept map type thing. You can click on it and you can see where it stems and all these other things. You can add on to this even more, so it creates even more of sort of a web. And then this right over here is kind of the stats for the debate. You can see what the initial question was and then how that spread and then how each of these other ones spread. And when there's votes, you can see that, and then with the pros and cons, you'll see green for pro and red for cons, and you will see that on this circular stats map. I think this is really neat because it provides a visual for students, and they can kind of debate what the debate decided, whether or not which way the class agreed on or they did not agree on. But overall, I think this is a great option for class discussion and class debate because this allows students to make their claims, back it up with evidence, all in one setting, and it's Kailo-Edu organizes it in a way that when they vote, they have like the higher ones with the votes at the top and then the less votes at the bottom. So the stronger arguments often will be voted on more, and so those will be towards the top, and then the lesser of the strong arguments will be towards the bottom. And this just allows students to kind of see the stronger arguments and see how their classmates voted and what everybody's feeling and what they're thinking. But I would highly recommend using this, especially since we will most likely be doing distance learning and we won't have the opportunity to really have debates in the classroom because we won't be in person. But hopefully this was useful to you and you feel like you can go out and create your own and mess around with it and figure out what settings you like best for your classroom.